Okay, in the name of Lord Jesus Christ, we shall continue to study from 1 Corinthians. So we are entering, we will talk about chapter 2. So in chapter 1, Apostle Paul point out their problem. What is the problem? Like to be the big boss. For those who are able and talented, for those who are wealthy and prominent, they like the attention. They want to be known. They are the big guy, the big shot of the church. So continue as we enter into chapter 2. In chapter 2, there is a topic that in chapter 2, verse 6, however, we speak wisdom among those who are mature. So in chapter 2, the topic is known as spiritual maturity. Spiritual maturity. That we all want to be deemed as a mature person. I guess especially for you in your age, you do not like to be treated like a little kid. For little kid, we tell you what to do, you just do it. So when you were young, people tell you what you do. Your parents, your teacher, or whoever. So when you were young, as a child, that you follow instruction. However, when you get to certain age, probably in high school, probably begin in high school to college, that you have this very strong sense of independency. That you want to be independent, you want to be treated like a full-grown adult. And you want to tell people, no, I make my decision. I decide what I do. And usually that's the time that you find a lot of conflict between you and your parents. You find a lot of conflict between you and the so-called authorities. Authorities. This is when you do not like to take order. You do not like to be told what to do because you want to be independent. You want to be treated like a full-grown adult. However, just because you are at a certain age, of legally at age of 18, you are adult. Right? A lot of times that's why young people say, I am 18. I'm legally adult. I do whatever you want. But you still need to pay for my school tuition. But you still need to pay for my car loan. You still need to do No, I'm adult. But when it comes to give me money, I'm your child. Okay? But anyway, now we want to talk about maturity. Maturity doesn't come purely with age. Just because you are at a certain age doesn't mean that you are mature. You can be at age of 40 still extremely childish and irresponsible. You could. Okay? So what is maturity? Simply put, okay, just the word maturity, forget about the spiritual. Just what is the so-called maturity? Maturity means you know when to do what to whom. That's called maturity. You know when to say or do what? To whom? Okay? That's called maturity. Say the right thing to the right person at the right time. We call that maturity. Do the right thing to the right person at the right time. We call that maturity. So, let me tell you, just because you are above 18, many of you, and many times in your life, that you still demonstrate that you are not very mature. Okay? So, okay, whether you are mature or not, I will leave that to your parents. Okay, that's not my job. My job is to deal with your spiritual maturity. Your spiritual maturity. Okay? So okay, I will leave it as is. Just want to let you know, a lot of times, people treat you like a kid, not because they want to, but because they have to. If you always act very irresponsible, if you always act very foolishly, if you always act not credible, you don't get to blame why people do not trust you. Why don't you trust me? I say to you, I yell at your parents, why don't you trust me? Because you are not trustworthy. Like, how difficult is that? Because you are not trustworthy. Why don't you believe in me? Because you are not credible. It takes time. It takes time to build your credibility. It takes time for you to be trustworthy. So when you are angry, why don't they trust you? Instead of being so angry about it, ask yourself, maybe because you never follow through what you promised. You told them, yeah, I will be here. I will be home by 7. No, they don't get to see you until 11:30, and you never call. When I was young, in my family, we call. Even just one sentence, I don't do that. After married for 15 years, I don't do that anymore. I used to do it even after I get married. If I don't do it, my wife do it. Like if we travel, we go somewhere. When we land, before we leave, I call my mom. Before I landed, when I landed, I call my mom, just so that she knows where we are. And my wife does the same thing. My wife does the same thing. And look at my age. Even until today, I don't do it every single time, but I still do it periodically. Even until today. Because my mom might be worried if everything is fine with me and my family. It used to be me. Now she only cares if my kids are okay. This is what happens when you have kids. And then your parents say, you're not that important anymore. But anyway, so you know what? If you feel the so-called independent, being adult means that you don't answer anyone. You are wrong. We call that irresponsible. We call that childishness. If you are adult, if you are mature, you will think how others might feel. You will worry if you are going to hurt somebody. You will be more considerate how your reaction impact other people. We call that maturity. So do not think that, I'm adult. Adult means that I don't answer to nobody. No, that's not called adulthood. And for sure, that's not mature. That means selfish. Extremely selfish. If you only care about yourself, then let me tell you, we never credit that as maturity. So even today, like when I go to NorCal, in the airport, I text my mom, I'm boarding. I text my wife, I'm boarding. And after 55 minutes, I am landing. My wife's like, that short distance, you don't really need to tell me. 55 minutes. But we have this tendency. I build that as a hobby, as a habit in my family, So I do that, my wife do that, and my kids, I want to make sure that they do that too, so that they will be considerate how their action might affect others, because that's how you build maturity. Okay? But again, that's your problem. Okay? I don't deal with that. Okay? I want to focus upon this. So let's talk about spiritual maturity. According to Apostle Paul, what are the requirements for spiritual maturity? Chapter 2. To begin, I'll give you the structure. Number 1, in chapter 2, 2 methods, 2 different ways, okay? 2 different ways of handle situation, okay? 2 different ways. So again, I talk a little bit about your so-called maturity, okay? Like how you should be credible, how you should be considered. That has nothing to do with what we are doing right now. So you can put that aside, okay? Maturity is something that you need to find. You need to find the answer yourself, okay? But we want to talk about, according to Paul, what kind of person, what kind of believer are considered as spiritually mature. Spiritually mature. And if you look at chapter 2, in chapter 2, verse 1, and I, brethren, when I came to you, did not come with excellence of speech or wisdom declaring to you the testimony of God. For I determined not know anything among you except Jesus Christ and He crucified and Him crucified. Let's jump to verse 4. And my speech and my preaching were not with persuasive words of human wisdom, but in demonstration of the Spirit and of power. Right? So now in here, Apostle Paul mentioned about preaching the gospel, serving the Lord. Okay? So in here, when Paul mentioned about spiritual maturity, he was referring to working, serving the Lord. Serving the Lord. So again, in here, we are not talking about if you are a mature member or not. He touched upon workers, serving. So in order for you to be a spiritual, mature worker, okay, now we are talking about servitude, worker of the Lord. We are not talking about cultivation, personality, okay, we're not talking about that. What does it mean that you are able to serve the Lord like a mature worker? Number 1, how do you serve? Paul said there are 2 ways. Some people use human ways. Okay, your excellency of the words, your choose of the fancy words, your what else did he say? He said that using the speech of wisdom, he also, the persuasive words of human wisdom. Human wisdom. Quote and unquote, huh? Quote and unquote, human wisdom. Okay? So number 1, he said that they are people. Of course, he was referring to those who are highly educated in Corinth. They might be double PhD. They might be very successful in their career, they might be college professors, they might be philosophers. So in Corinthian church, there are a lot of smart people. But Paul said that they only serve the Lord in human ways. In Paul's eyes, that's not a mature worker. Not a mature worker. Because Paul can say that. Because Paul was in that generation, Paul was one of the most well-educated person. Okay? He was educated by the best philosopher in that generation. You know that Paul even got his own follower, his own student, that later, of course, the Lord, that God forced him, God served him, forced him to pardon from his personal followers. Okay? So now Paul got there and said, you want to talk about philosophy? What do you know about philosophy? You want to talk about wisdom? What do you know about wisdom? You think that you are very well in language. How many languages do you know? So you know what Paul told them, that when you in the church serving the Lord, when you only focus upon what I know, what I can, my experience, my ability, Paul said it's very childish. Okay? So young men, young brothers, young sisters, I know that many of you are very well learned. Okay? Smart, high IQ. Well, at least some of you. Anyway, not my problem. That's your parents' problem. So you know what? I know that some of you are very good, maybe in academic. Okay? Maybe some of you are very good at this, very good at that. Nothing wrong. Again, Paul said, Paul also got the wisdom of the world. That's why Paul was able to preach beyond the barrier, beyond the boundary. Why? Because he speaks the language. At that time, most of the Jewish people, they speak Hebrew. So their circle, or they speak Aramaic, depends where you are. So their circle is very limited. But because Paul, well-educated, able to exercise more languages, so he was able to go beyond the border and preach in a different language. Is there anything wrong with that? No. Knowledge, wisdom, ability, eloquency, language, all those are good. Nothing wrong with that. The problem is, if that's the only way that you serve, then you will for sure experience defeat. You will for sure experience defeat. Because all this, if you only rely on human wisdom to serve, number one, you will realize you can try, you can fight, but most of the time you do not see the result. You get disappointed. Let's take a look at the verse. Let's turn to also 1 Corinthians. Let's turn to 1 Corinthians chapter, let me see, where is it? 1 Corinthians, 跑去哪里了? No, sorry. 2 Corinthians. Let's go to 2 Corinthians chapter 10. 2 Corinthians chapter 10. Verse 3. 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 3. For though we walk in the flesh, we do not war according to the flesh. For the weapon of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty in God, for pulling down strongholds, casting down arguments, and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God, bringing every thought into captivities to the obedience of God. Okay? So something here, Apostle Paul tells you, when we fight, This is a spiritual warfare. Okay? So you do not fight with the human wisdom in the spiritual warfare because it just doesn't work. You can be the most excellent debater. Okay? You are so reasonable. You are so rational. You analyze everything. And you talk. You are very persuasive and convincing. And then you talk to the truth seeker. You talk to the truth seeker. And after 2 hours, truth seeker say, wow, you are so reasonable. But I just don't believe. Does it happen? It happens all the time. It happens all the time. When you thought that, I got it. Yeah, did you see that? You know what? I'm winning the debate. I'm so rational. Right? There's no way for him to talk me back. Yeah, you know, the truth seeker got up and said, you good. You win. I don't believe. What you going to do about it? You can't. Because we are talking about human heart. We are talking working spiritual faith, warfare is about winning human heart. And it doesn't go according to your plan and design. Many years ago, in here, also NYTS, at that time I served as a counselor. That's many years ago. I was serving as a counselor. We have one student who has a lot of emotional problem, a lot of mental distress, a lot of this and that. You know, that like suicidal, whatever you can think. And as a counselor, as his counselor, I took upon myself the duty to knock some sense into his mind. I try really hard. I tell him about my experience. I tell him about my concept. I tell him like how can he, you know, deal with the emotion, fix the problem. You know that you can, a lot of what, chicken soup, 心灵鸡汤 oh. Oh yeah, I'm pretty good at that. I think. I told my wife that I'm very good at that. My wife said, 你只是话多. You just talk too much. That's what my wife said. You just talk too much. I said, you don't appreciate. Yeah. Neither do my kids. They don't appreciate. They always say, 爸爸你话好多, you talk too much. So you know what? Yeah, I talk to the student a lot. You know, 30 minutes, an hour, we even skip class. So that because I'm trying to convey my knowledge, help him with my experience. Yeah. So yeah, we skip class and the result is I got pulled out by my mom and she said, you don't do that. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So, you know that every time after we talk, he say, I feel much better. Oh, you know, it feels good. When you are seeing, oh yeah, he's doing something. He feels good now. After 30 minutes, oh, I just want to kill myself. I was like, so what, we're going to start all over again? Yeah, and we actually, you know, it was like this, over and over and over, until I was exhausted. He was desperate. And I figure I am so tired and I don't know what else to do. So when he feel terrible, I just told him that I got nothing more to say to you. Why don't we just go in and pray? Yeah. You know that at that time, when I say let's just go and pray, that's more like the way I try to shake him off me. Like, because I don't know what else to do anymore. I'm just like, you know what? You go pray and tell Jesus, don't come to me anymore. Something like that. Yeah. But to my amazement, I guess only God can change a person's heart. I can talk, you know, I talk a lot. I talk all the time. In fact, that's my job. Okay? So you know what? I'm pretty good at it. Keep on talking, convincing this and that, tell you about story, chicken soup. I can give you a lot of those motivational speaking or encouragement of the soul. But then, yeah, it might help you a little bit. But then, you turn around after 20 minutes. That heavy burden of heart just come back for no reason. And there's nothing you can do about it. Until you find Jesus. Your so-called burden of your heart, Jesus, for him is only a little pebble that he can help you. Something that I can try my very best, try to hold the rock and lift up the rock with you. Jesus can easily just pick it up and toss it somewhere else if he so decide. Or if you so yearning for his help. So yeah, I learned that. I learned that, yeah, we can try. And we should, as a pastor, yeah, I have no problem if you want to talk, you want to chat, I will do what I can. But deeply in my heart, according to Apostle Paul, he said what? If you go back to chapter 2, he said that I only rely on the demonstration of the Spirit and the power. The power of the Spirit. So young brothers and sisters, you might be very able, talent. You might be very eloquent with great ability. But serving the Lord at the end is all about the abidance of God. His power. The mature. Those who are spiritually mature, they know that. So they know that at the end, I sow the seed, Apollo water, only God can give the growth. Okay, that's number one. Number two, if you go back, let's go back to chapter 2. Now, if you look at in verse 6, however, we speak wisdom among who are mature, yet not the wisdom of this age, not of the ruler of this age, but we speak the wisdom of God in a mystery. Okay? So then here, Apostle Paul continued. That he said that there are two different ways of doing things. There are two kinds of wisdom. That you can choose. Two types of wisdom. So two different ways you can either rely on yourself or rely on the power of the Holy Spirit. Two types of wisdom, you can either talking about the things of the world. The things of the world. Or you can talk about the things above. The things above. Okay? So for those who are spiritually mature, their focus, their direction, their conversation eventually lead to something higher and more meaningful. Again, don't get me wrong. There are a lot of things that you can talk about in your life with your friend, even with the truth seeker. When we say that you talk, for those who are spiritually mature, you talk the things above, not the things of the world. Please do not take it wrong and become an extremist. What is an extremist? It means that you only hold the Bible that make you feel spiritual. When you talk, you only talk about 5 basic doctrine, 10 article of faith, which many of you did not remember. I mark your test. In my great distress, I look at your test. No, I'm not distressed because you failed. I'm distressed because the counselor pulled me and gave me sitting there to mark your test until 1 a.m. That's what, old people, we need to sleep, okay? And they were like, oh, Pastor, why don't you mark? I was like, yeah, remember, I was only there for a banana. I was just like, grab my banana and then be nice to the counselor and say, keep up the good job, and I go to sleep, right? No, I end up there until 1 a.m. marking your test. You know what? Please do remember, when we talk about the mature, spiritually mature, you talk about the things about, doesn't mean that you should open your mouth and talk about Bible only. Oh, basic doctrine. Oh, salvation. Oh, heaven and hell. No. You do that, you have no friend, okay? You find no friend. So what is the things of the world? What is the things above? Is not really based upon the content. It's not. It only based upon where the conversation is leading, where it has to. Where does it head? Where the conversation heading, that determines what kind of conversation that you have. You know that a lot of times with truth seekers, what do I talk about? I talk about camera. I do. I talk about camera. There was once that there was a truth seeker who, he doesn't feel that he's a truth seeker. He just there, drive. He said, call me the driver. So he only drives the family. The family are members. So he just drives the family, drop off the family, but not attending the service. Okay? So, doesn't really know anyone, doesn't want to talk to anyone, until one day I passed by, that I saw that the person was browsing through camera gears. Those big machine, DSLR, lenses. I said, hey. But of course, after a while, I walk away. I said, oh, sorry, Canon user, Nikon. Yeah. No. No, you know what? That begin the conversation. We actually talk. Okay? And sometimes, very rarely, I run into film user. Do you know what film is? Like film, 35 millimeter film. Oh, you do? Okay, surprised. You know that a while ago I found a cassette. You know what cassette is, right? Cassette. I found a cassette. And my daughter and my son, they were like, oh, what is this? And they were like, took it, looking through the hole. They're like, how did you turn this thing on? How did you turn this thing on? I was like, you don't turn that thing on, okay? She's looking all over for the power button. Your generation, like cassette. She's like, and then she's like, what is this? And she pulled the tape out. She's like, what is this? I said, well, it just killed my childhood. Oh, is it time? My goodness. No, it's not. Who rang the bell? Oh, no? Okay. I got 5 minutes. All right. So forget about the tape. Okay. So it's not, please do remember, it's never about the content. It's where the conversation goes. Okay? So you begin, I talk about film, developing. I do film photography. Those old days, you putting the 35 millimeter, I do those kind of things, okay? And sometimes you find people that also do the same. Then immediately the conversation begins. So you know what? Sometimes I talk to people, truth seekers about scuba diving. I am certified scuba diver. I have license. I do have license. The only problem is, last time I scuba dived, like 15 years ago. Yeah. When I moved, I found my gear. I found my diving suit. but I can only pull up to the thigh and couldn't put it all the way up. Yeah, my wife and my kids, they have a big laugh. I said, no, I used to feeding this thing. I used to. Yeah, no. I used to be slim just like this side. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, it's okay, you get used to this. Yeah. But then you talk about the ocean, but where did you talk about ocean, and from ocean you go where? Life is uncertain, just like the ocean. Many times at that time we have a speedboat. So we went out like a glass, beautiful. You went down the ocean. After 1 hour, you came back up. It was like a storming, strong wave. There was once. That's probably the most scariest moment ever in my life. I got out of the water and I couldn't find the boat. And it was like strong wind, like raging, and I was just floating. Yeah, it just keep on floating up and down. I was like, where in the world is the boat? Where is the boat? And the next thing I realized is that I actually lost my contact lens in the ocean. So I couldn't really see anything, yeah. Yeah, the boat is not that far. And it was like behind me, yeah. But for that blink of a second, I was like, hallelujah, where's the boat? Yeah, you know what, but you found the conversation, you engage into something. Life is uncertain, okay? I talk about stock because I'm finance background. All right, I'm finance background. That's what I study. I'm finance background. So I used to do stock markets. All right? So from there, people talk about stock, but if you only stay at making money, then that's the things of the world. From stock, talk about what? You never know about tomorrow. Okay? Right before I come out to be a full-time pastor, I sold off all my shares. I sold off the stock, I sold off the mutual fund, I sold everything when the market was still good. So my friend make fun of me, my friend laugh at me. They're like, "Wow, what's wrong with you? It's good, making good money. Why are you selling everything?" My stock, those are people, those friends do stock with me that they were laughing at me. I said, no, I'm going to be a pastor. So, so I'm just trying to make my life simpler. And they make fun of me. Only a few weeks later, the whole market collapsed. 50%. It was cut to 50. At that time, I actually checked the market every day. I watch the news every day. And every day when I look at the number, the index, I was like, wow, holy God, hallelujah. Seriously, if I did not sell off, because at that time, basically anything that you have in the market, 50% off, 50%, in only a few weeks. So from there, that conversation lead where you do not focus upon how much you earn, how much you lose. You focus upon, hey, that's life. That's life. If this is your hope, if that is your hope, you might be greatly disappointed. So there are many things in life you can begin a conversation. But what determines the value is where the conversation is leading to. You can have the most secular content that produce the most spiritual result. You could. As long as you are spiritually mature, that you are gearing, that you are arranging the conversation, gearing toward something more important, such as your soul, then that's a spiritual conversation. Okay, now we should end the class. Let's all pray in silence.